Welcome back, everybody, to Prime Time Action Sports NBA Tip-Off. Next Tuesday, December 22nd, it's going to be a good one. Lakers, the reigning champs, are going to hold it down. Ryan Pierce, welcome back to the set. Sports Analytic Lead. What is going on, my brother? How you been?
Doing well. Ready for the NBA season to start back up. You know, it was a short break for those Heat and Lakers players. I think it was the shortest break in terms of from the last game played to the start of the next season in any professional sport in history. So, you know, you're definitely looking out for those rest versus rust debates, looking out for how much is LeBron James going to play during the first month of the season. And, you know, I think that's definitely a good thing we can talk about later.
And when we go to the Lakers, you got to look at and appreciate what they did. I know we lost a lot of pieces, but bringing in a lot of good pieces. We'll get to that soon. But kind of we're going to tip off the opening night. You got the Clippers, Lakers, Battle of LA again. We didn't get to see that really happen last season. Then you got the Nets, the new look Nets with Kyrie, KD, DeAndre Jordan, and then you got the Warriors. No Klay Thompson, but you got Steph Curry, very healthy. Very curious to see what they're going to do. What is your, expectations? What are you looking forward to, the most with the new season looming?
Yeah, I mean, I think touched on it. I think we wanted to see that Clippers-Lakers series in last year's playoffs, but, the Clippers got bounced by the Denver Nuggets, and, we never really got to see that. So really hoping to see kind of how these pieces play out for both the Lakers with their new pieces and kind of, the loss of those players for the Clippers specifically. I think you look at the Clippers and, they're bringing back a lot of the same pieces, so minus a few players, but then you look at the Lakers who probably won the offseason. Expectations are sky high for the Lakers, looking them to kind of establish that Western Conference dominance in that first game. Really expecting Anthony Davis and LeBron James to come out ready to play in that first game and kind of, set the tone for the rest of the season. So I'm really liking the Lakers in that first game.
I mean, you gotta look at, like you said, momentum all on their side. Not only did they steal Montrezl Harrell, one of their biggest, players last year, Sixth Man of the Year.
Love him.
But they also signed, Marc Gasol and a lot of other key players. But, I kind of want to, rewind that before we get too ahead of ourselves and kind of just look at what happened for both sides of LA. You got the Clippers that lost their coach. They're being investigated right now by, how Jerry West handled the signing of Kawhi Leonard.
Breaking news.
You got the Lakers making the right offseason moves. They extended LeBron. They, signed Anthony Davis to the max. So you kind of look at, both spectrums, and you see like one team's kind of, still thriving, even though usually after championship you kind of go downhill. And then you got the other team that still should be one of the championship favorites, but you got them with a whole bunch of turmoil with, the rest. They made rules about Kawhi now, so I'm looking forward to that. And I agree with the Klay Thompson thing. It's a real bummer. I know a lot of our boys out in SF, Brian and those guys are really bummed to see him get hurt, including me because that guy's a baller. But I'm really curious to see how KD and Kyrie are going to kind of, come into flux with each other because we didn't get to see it last year. Kyrie Irving sat out. We've seen him have already trouble with the media so far in this early season.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious how they kind of work because I don't like KD as a person, but I like the way he plays. I don't like him at all just because, you know me, I'm about the loyalty kind of aspect, but and how he handled it. But I'm just really curious to see how they're going to kind of, mesh together. I don't see them winning that. I've got Warriors, Lakers as my winners on opening night. But going to the Houston Rockets, a team we basically crumbled from within on the outside.
Yeah.
We got Russell Westbrook. He's out in Washington. You got John Wall coming in, which is a good look. I'm happy to see John Wall play some basketball again. And they signed DeMarcus Cousins trade or whatever. But the thing with James Harden right now, you don't know what's he going to do. You got, talks that they're not going to trade him all. Now you got talks saying the Sixers are going to include Ben Simmons, and then they weren't. Now they are. They're going to keep Joel Embiid. But so we don't know what's going to happen, and I'm really curious to see if, we saw how those, I don't know if they were bad angles, or it really is James Harden just looking way overweight.
James Harden turning into a meme with those overweight pictures.
Oh my gosh. And he hates that because, there's a lot of reasons why he gets gets pampered too. He's one of those players. And there's always players like that.
Yeah.
But he got pampered, he's gonna go into parties whenever he wants. He didn't have to play he didn't have to practice once during the All-Star break and he missed a week or missed a couple of practices, but then got to come and a source said that they don't care what he did after the game as long as he put up 50-point triple-doubles and you can't really talk. And it's your franchise player. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen with that, whether or not he will be on the Rockets. maybe by, I mean, it's a week away.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's off the Rockets by the end of the year. I don't think that he makes it through the whole season on the Rockets. He doesn't want to be there. I mean, I think he was saying yesterday that he hasn't even talked to the general manager one-on-one yet.
So
they have a brand new coach who's a rookie head coach in the league, and Steven Silas, and I just really think that whole situation does not mesh well with what James Harden wants right now out of his career. He's 30, 31 years old. He's starting to see kind of that light at the end of the tunnel. He's still in the back end of his prime, so he knows that he can still contribute on a championship team. I think he kind of just sees the situation he wants out of there. I think they asked him in his media availability, hey, what were you doing in Houston and Las Vegas during the start of training camp? And he says, that's where my personal trainers are. So, I think there's a lot of things going on there that behind the scenes aren't going to kind of make him last as a Houston Rocket by the end of this year.
And it's weird just how so much stuff can happen in the offseason.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's go to the final four of each conference. Obviously, you got the East and West. Who's your final two there? Who's your final two in the West and East?
Cool, yeah. For conference winners, I think that, by and far the favorite in Vegas, the favorite for a lot of different people, is going to be the Los Angeles Lakers from the West. I think that we can get more into the specifics later, but we saw, like we talked about earlier, that, hey, they won the offseason. They're the reigning champs. I don't know how you pencil anyone else in at the Western Conference.
Easy.
Eastern Conference, we talked about them already, but hey, I really think it's going to be the Nets coming out of the Eastern Conference. I think they start the season off a little bit shaky when it kind of comes to talking through KD and Kyrie Irving and those personalities kind of meshing together. But you talk about on the court, KD, before he got hurt, was the best player in the NBA. I think a lot of people would have told you that he was the best player. So now he's coming back from his Achilles. I think you question whether or not he can come back to the same form. But even if he's at 85% of what he was, he's still, a top 10 player in the league.
Exactly.
So, you look at KD and Kyrie, and then all those other pieces, they didn't really lose anybody. They still have Jared Allen there. They have Karis LeVert. They have a lot of pieces that already got that team to the playoffs before without KD and Kyrie. So I think that you talk about all those things. I think the first half of the season, maybe they struggle. They have some kind of cold stretches.
Like a Miami Heat.
Yeah, but I think by the end of the season in the playoffs that they're firing on all cylinders, and that, they can kind of come above the Sixers and the Bucks and the Heat, kind of those upper echelon of the Eastern Conference. They're going to come there and represent that conference in the finals.
So you're saying it's be Lakers Nets. You're not even
in the long-winded answer.
Okay.
Lakers Nets.
Okay, well I'm gonna stick to two.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick to exactly what the Western Conference saw last year.
Yeah.
I'm going to Lakers and Nuggets because I really liked what the Nuggets have done. Just they're a young team. They have the right players. They're really motivated. They gave us a hard time too.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people will admit that. Well, we won't admit it, but as Lakers fans, we saw the Lakers, have kind of
Jamal Murray,
exactly.
Joker.
You can never really count that out.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go to what exactly I said last year this time. I'm going with the Bucks and Boston Celtics. Why is everyone always count the Boston Celtics? They're a really good team. I know.
MVP, I think that I take it from kind of two places. I think that LeBron James over the past 15 years has proven that he could be the MVP every year.
Yeah.
I think last year you could have made him the MVP over Giannis. I think that he kind of shows that he can be the MVP every year. So personally, I think that he should and could be the MVP of the NBA season next year. But I gotta take a step back and kind of think about, what does history tell us? History tells us that MVP, the voters get fatigued. They don't want to keep voting for the same player every single year, right? So I'm going to go ahead and take that back and say, I think the MVP of this NBA season is going to be Luka Doncic. Look at what he did last year. He averaged 30 points per game, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. Those are young LeBron numbers. Maybe even more scoring than those early LeBron years. And, I think that Luka Doncic is going to come out there even more improved from those numbers he put up last year. The Mavericks look pretty good coming into the season. I think they're going to be a top 5 seed in the West. I like Luka Doncic as the MVP frontrunner for next year.
Yeah, I love it. I honestly thought you were going to say LeBron, because that's where I'm going. I'm going to be biased as hell this segment.
I think dark horse is when you look at the scope of, the NBA. What we're looking for kind of is looking at, which team is going to come from where they were last year and go ahead and be a force and a contender this year.
Team-wise.
Sorry. And when you kind of say that and you think about that definition of the term, I think of only one team. I think of the Portland Trailblazers. I think you look at them from last year, they have Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, and then they got Carmelo Anthony, a reinvigorated Carmelo Anthony coming back. And I think that you look at that team, and they're way better than an 8 seed that they were last year. And you saw that in the bubble, too. Dame came out firing. It was Dame time. I think that he's going to take that momentum from the bubble, come over, and I kind of predict that, Portland Trailblazers are going to be up there as a top 4 seed in the West this year and kind of contend for that upper echelon of the Western Conference teams.
I like it. And you mentioned, they did start off really slow, then they really hit their cylinders. Yep. They got everything firing right when the bubble happened. Unfortunately ran into the Lakers, but
my breakout player was Devin Booker. Last year he averaged 26 points per game, 6 assists. He's known as a guy, he's coming into his 5th year, I think, in the NBA, and he's really one of those guys that he can go out there and get you 40 points on any given night. And I think that for him, all he needs to do is have that veteran there playing point guard, because I think sometimes you ran him out there and Devin Booker was the de facto point guard playing there with Ricky Rubio sometimes. So now that he's got Chris Paul, CP3 there feeding him the ball and setting him up, I think this is going to be a breakout year for Devin Booker. I'm seeing him averaging upwards of 30 points per game. He's going to get those other numbers up as well. And, I really think that I'm expecting big things out of Devin Booker this year coming up. And as long as he doesn't get the Kardashian curse.
Yeah. Shout out to Chris Humphries a long time ago. Okay, now you got your breakout player. You got that. You got right. Now, this is a San Diego, Lakers, LA, all that kind of sports talk. You see the homie wearing the Lakers championship shirt. Shout out Evan. You got me wearing
shout out Evan.
Jersey. Shout out Shane. But this is just, a local kind of sports show, and we're going to talk about the Lakers. That's what people want to hear.
If you don't want to hear it, turn it off right now.
Yeah, this is what people want to hear that follow us. So we're going to get right into it.
Yeah.
Expectations for the Lakers. I know we have missed championships, but let's just go and take a step back and see what they did this really short off season that they had.
Yeah, so let's talk about the newcomers. You got Dennis Schroeder coming over, kind of going to be that point guard, kind of hopefully replacing that Rajon Rondo production. Even though Rajon, didn't play, so many minutes, you're going to expect more minutes and more production out of Dennis Schroeder as a younger player coming over from OKC. Then you get Montrezl Harrell over from the Los Angeles Clippers. Really interesting. He struck me as one of those guys that was really happy to be a Clipper, and then it sounded like when he hit the offseason that they kind of shunned him away, and he came over to the Lakers, took less money. And from what I've seen from him in the preseason, he looks really good. He looks like he wants to be here. He even had this flexed over a jumper. I didn't know he had a jumper like that, and I kind of saw that in the preseason, and I really like him as a contributor this year on our team. You got Wesley Matthews. I thought maybe he was a little bit over the hill on the Bucks the last few years, but it sounds like what he's doing is he's really buying into the defense that Frank Vogel is kind of putting out there with the Lakers. So, all of those newcomers, you're really going to rely on the development of some of the younger guys like Kyle Kuzma. I know we hear this every year, but they're saying Kyle Kuzma has made some strides. He's going to a contract year. And then the talk of the preseason, Talen Horton-Tucker. I really am expecting kind of that guy to go out there and play some of those bench minutes, get us some points, and he's looked really awesome in the preseason so far.
He really, is exploding, and I saw someone say that, or Mac Johnson tweet, like they found a hidden gem, and I saw someone else on Twitter say he's only played one game, and then the next game came out and he dropped 30 plus. So I'm looking forward to that too. I do want to shout out Gasol.
There you go. I missed Marc Gasol.
No, but it's okay because there's room and Powell might come back. Really doubt it, but what Mark brings, a veteran leadership. We kind of downsized size-wise with McGee gone and Howard, which is gonna, we'll see situations
how that plays
like
out.
But we got younger. I know Gasol's, older and that.
But Harrell and Schroeder both younger.
Exactly. So we got younger, and we saw the lineup, last night or a couple nights ago. It was Schroeder, LeBron, Kuzma, Davis.
Gasol. That's a good lineup. I really like that lineup.
Yeah, and I know
Kuzma might need to come off the bench, but we'll figure that out once KCP is not injured anymore. So we'll see.
I want KCP to be my, starting at the 2
for sure.
We'll see how that goes. And like you said, I'm really hoping Kuzma takes that little leap.
Every year we hear about it.
Every year. So I'm not the biggest fan of Kuzma because I expect so much of him. That's the reason.
You didn't like that GQ spread?
Hey, oh my gosh, man! If I pull the video or the picture right now, you guys will laugh.
Don't be scared if we kind of go in there. We're only the 2 and 3 seed going into the postseason. Yeah. I really think that we're going to take our time and rest LeBron and AD, which I'm totally fine with. And if that means that we don't go in with the 1 seed, there's no real home advantage anyways. So it's okay kind of going in there as the 2 or 3 seed as long as we can make sure that we have all of our guys healthy going into the postseason again.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously we have momentum on our side as long with the Heat because we just played a couple months ago.
Exactly.
So that's a good thing, but I also do agree with you. The resting, we gotta figure it out because the new rules with resting people that aren't kind of like hurt.
Yeah, on national TV games, but LeBron's going to play those national TV games, which I'm talking about Tuesdays. He's going to come out there with a vengeance and try to take it to the Clippers. So
yes, of course, and I'm really hyped to see that. We'll have to see. December 22nd is NBA tip-off. It's going to be a show. Ryan, it's always a pleasure having you on here, my friend, Sports Analytic Lead. I know Slater says his dues to you, but is there anything you want to say? Shout out anyone other than the Lakers that you want to just kind of emphasize on before we close out this?
No, man. I think parting thoughts. Go Lakers. We proved everyone wrong last year. I think LeBron said it was the hardest championship ring ever won in the history of the NBA. I don't know if I agree with that 100%, but we'll go with it. Shout out Evan for the T-shirts. Championship Lakers. It feels so good to be a champion again. Let me tell you.
We're spoiled when it comes to that. And I want to also give you a shout because this could be our last segment of 2020. What a crazy year it's been.
Let's hope for a better year in 2021.
Usually we have our Christmas special, but with how things have happened this year, NBA already starting in December, we had to kind of switch things around for you guys. But follow us on Instagram. You got Ryan Pierce right here. What's your Twitter?
Ryan Pierce ZZ.
ZZ. You got Presley Thomas. You got follow us on Primetime, Instagram, and on YouTube. Shouts out, subscribe, like, follow, tell your friends. Tell us what you're doing, what we're doing, what we're not doing right, what we're doing wrong. If you want us to shout you out or bring you on here or shout out your team, player, whatever it is, we're here for the people. But until next time, go Lakers, go Chargers. Woo! We out.